the Payments Leaders Show. I'm your host, Adrian Evans, and I'm absolutely thrilled today because we're trying to get this one in the diary for a while. Stefano, welcome.
Welcome, Adrian. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Now, we've been speaking for a few months now, and I'm just excited by your energy, by your initiative, and your proactivity. So I'm looking forward to you sharing some of your career journey, some of your mindset. But just tell us a little about because you're currently partnership lead at Spotify. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your career journey to date.
Thank you, Adrian. It's a pleasure to be here, to be honest. I love the spirit of the podcast, of the show. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm Stefano. As my accent can spoil, I'm originally Italian. I'm based in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, now for about 15 years. It was a very unplanned journey that brought me here. The very long story short is that I moved to Amsterdam from Italy quite some time ago, just with a backpack and a lot of curiosity. I used to do photography. I used to work with the Department of Political Science at the university in my city. But however, I wanted to experience the world. I wanted to travel. I want to see what else is out there. So I ended up in Amsterdam. Amsterdam was a lovely place, is a lovely place, a lot of opportunities, very much a can-do attitude, can-do attitude. So what did I start to do? There was a company, booking.com. It was not so big. I managed to find my way in. Once I found my way in, I started exploring the company, and this exploration led me into payments. This was the very first beginning of payments for booking and payments for myself. Great playground where to start learning different angles, building a kind of career, a professional me into the to that company. Left booking, went to explore some other opportunities, got back into booking, different roles, still in payments. After booking, I had the opportunity to join a great company like Spotify. So moving from traveling to music, audio, and then like this, continuing my journey into payments, partnership, very cool companies that they take care of areas I definitely love in life. I'm really passionate about.
Wonderful. Well, I know we're going to explore more about those passions of yours, about travel and also then music as well. But I remember in our pre-call, you shared how you first got into booking, and you were. I love the fact you were almost told stop applying. You're out of goes with a number of opportunities. So bring that story to life for us.
Thank you, Adrian. So the very long story short is that I was here in Amsterdam and there was a company with a lot of potential taking care of travel, was booking.com. I really wanted to have an opportunity in that company to start exploring a different a business I didn't know. But how could a boy straight from Italy join a company like Booking? What was my added value? My added value was my language. I'm Italian. I can deal with people. I'm Italian. Customer service. So I start applying. I was very eager to enter, so to join the company. And so eventually I got declined once, twice, three times, until the point I got blacklisted. Blacklisted, automatic reply. I'm sorry, we know your interest. We are gonna call you. Fine. What do you do? I mean, nothing to lose. Made a new email address, started applying again. No different result. Until one night, there was I still remember the Icelandic volcano, don't ask me to pronounce it, the Icelandic volcano creating disruption throughout Europe and worldwide on hospitality.
The volcanic ash, wasn't it, Ian?
Exactly, exactly. Disrupting all the airlines, all the flights, and then, of course, all the hotel reservations. I got an email midnight. Hey, we're looking for people urgently. Will you be available? The day after, took the phone. They called me and they gave me an appointment. Not even for the interview. That was the interview. An appointment to start. And then I had the shortest contract ever, just 2 months with 1 month of probation, and that was my opportunity to to put a foot into the door.
Amazing, amazing. Because that was handling wasn't that handling customer service for Italians. So you found your point of difference, and that was your way into the organization and into what is now, Booking.com, which is a phenomenal business now.
Correct, absolutely. I needed to put a foot into the door. I needed to learn English. Even English was not, I mean, one of my strengths. So that was a great opportunity to bridge that language gap, doing job in Italian while managing dealing with colleagues in English, and that was a great learning curve. So it was a kind of a mix. What can I give? What kind of added value I can give to a company, I can give to a team, and at the same time, what do I need to learn? What is going to upskill me for my next role? In that moment, for example, English was the biggest priority.
Brilliant, brilliant. Wonderful. Love that story, and for so many reasons that we can share later. I wonder if we could start with, though, because I know one of the things you're passionate about is actually staying, for people to stay focused on doing what they love doing and actually bringing their passions to work. Now, I know for you, your two biggest drivers, you love music, well, you love people, you love music, and you love travel. And it seems to me in your career, you've been able to combine all of those things. I wonder why, if you could share with us why that's so important to you.
Very good one. Why is important to me is because in this way I can be the better version of myself.
Okay.
If you do things because you have a plan and that's your career and is very functional, yes, it might work, but at least for me is a push. I need to be in an environment that I feel comfortable. I feel I can express myself. I enjoy. I bring all these positive vibes. And with these positive vibes, I can understand how I can contribute to that environment. Being a place where you have those opportunities, where the vibes are positive, where you can get that energy. And once you are in that environment, you can find yourself being in the right fit, in the right position, kind of mold into that space, and then start to really understand what's your added value. Not even added value. What is your yeah, no, sorry, mumbling too much.
No, no. So that's the interesting thing for me. I think one of the things I'm sensing from you is that you don't just go in and look for a job. You think, actually, how do I bring the best version of me? And then how do I add value to other people? So you mentioned you entered Amsterdam with a backpack and a bucket load of curiosity. So
Correct.
how do you get curious and add value to other people? How does that happen?
Is a process that indeed starts with curiosity, asking questions to the others, starting to understand, okay, what is important for others, what others are doing, and then in that case not having the let's say not really thinking, okay, that's what I can do and so on, but you start challenging yourself. You start discussing with yourself and saying, okay, but what can be that one thing that could make the difference, that one thing that could work that is not yet here. So don't just copy and do what everybody else is doing at the moment, because that's a very busy space. Start to find that those are those very small little things where you can start adding value, you can start being visible, and then from there you can build on the both sides. On one side, you invest on yourself, on your strengths. So you don't go against your nature to be something you are not, but you really invest on where is your biggest and most important bet.
Nice.
While you do that, you are in an environment that drives your mood, that inspires you. So in this case, you are really happy to contribute, to be part of that ecosystem. You can see the bigger picture and you want to be part of that bigger picture. And then your drive is on how can I make the difference rather than let's see what's going to be my next job or how can I apply to the next role.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and again, because that's a shift in mindset from how many people think about this, thinking hierarchically or just thinking. So, what what's what role does reciprocity play and the give and take? Because many people, I think we see in the world many people are who take or net more than they take. I've got a personal view. I always try and give this much to the world, and then possibly I might get that back. I know that's quite an unusual way of looking at the world, but that's the way I was taught, and that's what my mum told me was to be generous and to give, not be a fool, but to give. So, what does reciprocity mean to you?
Reciprocity means building connections, trying to be in a better place, try to make the world a better place. Reciprocity means it is something in a way that should be very pure, meaning it's something that it comes naturally rather than being a trade. I'm
Yep.
not giving you something to get something that I already know in exchange. It's more like I give you something because that's good for me, because it makes me feel good. It's important for me to give and to improve and to improve the space around me. If the people around me are doing good, are doing better, even thanks to me or not, I'm just happy. I live of that vibe surrounding me. And then in a way, what goes around comes around. If you surround yourself by positive people, in an environment that is allows growth and is in your course, you can only get inspiration, good vibes. You can only benefit from this environment. You don't know when, you don't know how, but you will benefit from. You just benefit from it by breathing and being in there.
So for you, the reciprocity is about energy management in many ways. So actually, by giving to others, you're gonna multiply already. 1 plus 1 is going to equal 3 already. Yep. And also then that has a ripple in and multiplying effect.
Correct. Very true.
Okay. Okay. So I know one of the things that's natural as well there with your environment and your place there is about the importance of trust and building trusted connections for you and trusted relationships. I wonder if you could share a bit more about how trust helps you make an impact.
Once you get into a certain industry, you realize you are not there for the short term. You are not there just for the low-hanging fruit and to go to the next industry after a few months. You are there to stay. So in this case, if you want to stay in a place, you need to build strong foundations. Strong foundations is not just being yourself. You never have a building with only one pillar. Every building, the tallest tower is all made of different poles that they create a wide and solid foundation. Those poles are the people you work with, and then everybody is connected by this trust. If I'm here for the long run in this industry, in this city, people needs to trust me. I need to know that if somebody is talking to me, is because they trust me. If they ask me to do something, there is this level of trust. And again, I can be in a place where I don't need to watch my back. I can relax and do the best I can to improve the situation not only for me but for everybody else. If there is a weak link, then the entire structure is gonna feel it. So in this case, I appreciate this industry. I appreciate seeing these connections after so many years because then you realize that everybody is changing jersey. 1 year after the other, you see people
Yeah.
going from one company to the other company, one area of the business to the other area of business. But if you have done business with somebody in a meaningful way and making a positive impact for the both, those people will want to be with you, will want to work with you, will want to have you around. And again, this is going to make stronger, s- basically stronger setup, stronger infrastructure, and then it's going to allow you to be trusted and to express yourself and to be ambitious.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I think it's so true, isn't it? Because in the payments industry, it's or the payments ecosystem, everything's connected. and you really can't do very much, even if you're a very large player or a very large bank or a very large merchant. You can't do much on your own. Everything is interrelated. And I also love what you say there about changing jerseys, is that if the relationships are in place, somebody can change company three, four times over the course of 10, 15 years or so. But it's actually about the relationship and how you grow that relationship. And I think all relationships are built on trust, like, and respect. And if those things are in place, whether it's family, whether it's business, whoever it may be, then typically that's going to be a healthy place to drive a relationship forward.
Absolutely. And in this case, is also changing company, changing business. It's also very interesting, and it's part. It's very functional for a career. You learn, you grow not only vertically, making career and getting a promotion after the other, but creating a very solid foundation with many bricks, many elements, knowing payments from operations to finance, reconciliation, product, the more technical areas, business, partnership, contracts. They are all part of the same industry. And if you partner with a company, that company is going to provide to you across all these areas. Every company works on operations. You need to have a contract in place to work with somebody. You need to have a product. You need to connect the different pipes between companies. So learning how all these different areas of the business are working, it makes you stronger professional. But in this case, you don't need to burn bridges from one company to the other. That's the thing. If you move to the next step, to your next learning cycle, people you have been working with can only be happy about you. And can they only think that they are also expanding their network in another industry, in another company, and so on. So again, you can recircle through these connections after a few years, reconnect, have a good conversation, and learn and be
Sure.
inspired from by others' journeys.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think there's this, again, there's that multiplying effect. What part has adaptation played in your career? Because I've noticed that, we were talking pre-call about chargebacks, and you were noticing how important chargebacks were at one point, but it's not the, it's not the high profile end of it. It's difficult, it's operational, it's technical. But I remember you saying, hey, if I can get really good at chargebacks, I've got a point of difference. So how did you go about learning that, and where does that mindset come from?
That's an interesting one because the learning in that specific case came as a consequence of a very difficult setback in my career. It was physical challenges. So I was in chronic pain, and I was not able really to work full time as a. I mean, I should have done, the full week. Uh, kind of needed medical attention at the moment. My mind was not really there. But then, okay, that was the opportunity for me. Instead of saying, okay, my career is ruined, it was the opportunity to take a step back and look, okay, what are the opportunities I can reach even in this moment of struggle? And then eventually there was chargebacks in the company where an old manager defined chargebacks like the forgotten child. When you are in a growth phase, is all good, and that's a cost of doing business. And then eventually, the more you grow, the more you realize that that's a big cost. And it's also a very legacy process that
Yeah.
with the head of a tech company, you can re-engineer. There is something you can do better in there. So that's the great opportunity where you can say, okay, there is something I can do different. I don't need to trust all these people telling me how this works. Let me play and let me understand what can be done in a different way. And eventually, I kind of built a career and a network out of chargebacks, out of this topic. And then you realize that every company in the payment space is dealing with chargeback. For as unsexy chargebacks are, people don't talk too much about them, but you need to deal with that. So again, building another selling point for my career.
Brilliant, brilliant. No, it's fascinating how you can find a niche within an industry there. And again, it's a point of difference because payments flows one way, really, doesn't it? Or we payment systems are meant to flow one way, which is transactional. And again, there's significant friction flowing back the other way with a chargeback, but it can be a point of difference. So so one of the things that we talked a little bit about adaptability there, but I know one of the things you believe in is that rather than looking vertically and just hierarchically at your career and saying, hey, how do I get to the next step, to the next step? You believe in building um, almost foundational elements first, almost being, being the apprentice first, then learning your trade, learning your process before you then naturally start looking for other opportunities. But we've obviously seen you're very proactive as well. So tell us about that foundational mindset you have there.
I remember the mindset was really triggered by a good conversation with a former mentor of mine, very senior person in booking, and I mean, I was just glad I could take some time of this person for this advice. And the person was basically just opening my eyes, saying, "Don't be eager to make career, don't be eager to go to the next level, because that one can go very fast." But what is really important for a long-term career is to understand the bigger picture. So how all the different elements in payments in the industry are interrelated. Because the more you understand the relationship between all these different units, all these different bricks, you can understand how to influence the bigger picture. You can understand how to make the difference on a higher level. And then eventually, career will come. Career will come in the moment you can contribute in a certain way. You have the understanding of certain dynamics, and you can actually make something things to happen. In that moment, you will find the right company and the right manager that is going to need what you can what you can deliver, what you can do. But if you don't have that knowledge, you start with the wrong attitude. In my opinion, you want something before proving yourself, proving to the others that that's what you can do.
Wow, wow. So a natural question there is, I think that's about competence before confidence, if I can say. Yeah. How do you step into, because you've been a great example of this, how do you step into areas where you don't have that competence initially and yet bring like a growth mindset to that to learn very quickly?
Being very clear that you have the mindset. What you are bringing is not the knowledge, but what you are bringing is the mindset.
Okay.
And that mindset comes with being humble and letting the others know that you are going to ask questions because you don't know yet, because you are thinking and you need others' help to build that know-how, to start thinking outside of the box. It's not like going in a place and telling others what to do. In that case, it can go well once, but again, it's not scalable, it's not for the longer term. So that's actually the nicest part when you step in a new domain and you need to learn and you need to learn. And then you ask questions on why things are working in a certain way. And eventually, you are going to start to find areas where people can tell you, yeah, it works the way it works because we've always done like this. And then there you can start to think and re-engineer and go there with a fresh mind. It's lovely to observe kids when they have to deal with a new problem. They don't go there with the knowledge of 10 years of experience. They go there with the knowledge of 2 months of experience on something else, and they start touching and seeing how it works. They get data. They start to play with their mind, and they don't go with the preconcept on that area. And I think it's a very similar kind of approach.
Yeah, I think that curiosity runs through your approach to most things. So just talking quickly about the industry, what excites you most about the payments industry? Because it's exploded really in terms of, particularly in the last decade, the possibilities, the opportunities, and I suppose the truth is, every piece of commerce ends up with a transaction. And if it's going to end up with a transaction somewhere, never mind how small or how large, it means that payments is going to be involved. But what's the one opportunity out of all the plethora of opportunities across the industry that excites you so most?
I look at this like, first of all, payment is very real. Real people pay constantly, and it makes a difference in everybody's life how you can pay. I mean, I'm not changing life. I'm not saying saving lives, but it's
I know.
very tangible what payments does to people. That's the first angle. The second is very global, is extremely global. Everywhere in the world, we are paying. So again, it brings you in a very real place, but is also so global that it's never the same. So it's like also with payments, it's traveling every day with your mind. How you pay in South America versus how you pay in APAC, in Europe, and so on. And the third one is that is changing so much. It's really changing so much together with the new technologies, hand in hand with every new technology, every new development, every new product. So the combination of these three pillars makes payments an extremely valuable industry,
Mm.
very much growing, so reconnecting with that curiosity piece, and also a place where you can actually make a difference, make an impact, because people can build, I mean, companies, people can build constantly. It's not already legacy, and that's the way it is.
So, in your current role, you are very much about building partnerships. And if we look and we know that within the payments industry, as we've said, everything's about partnering, really, isn't it? Because even if I always think about it, when I first moved into the payments industry and somebody explained to me what it was like buying a coffee, yep, the four-party model. And it was like, hey, this is the four-party model, but there's actually five parties involved. And these days with orchestration, even buying a coffee, there might be up to ten companies involved in that transaction at that single point where that actually happens buying a $5 or a £5 coffee, depending where we are in the world. And um, tell me about what makes successful partnerships. What are the three key things that you need to develop? Like, obviously, we both know Anand, and he connected us, and very, very grateful about that. And I remember asking him a similar questions because he's also very similar to yourself in a sense, got a very partnership mindset.
The important things, I believe, one is to see the bigger picture within the partnership. So not
Okay.
just selling one product, not selling one service, but seeing how companies can work together. So,
Yeah.
and then this brings to how both parties can benefit by each other. If only
Yeah.
one side is finding a benefit, that's not a good deal. Somebody is not making a, if somebody doesn't benefit from the deal, what is the problem? Why that party should go on the deal? So in this case, this means that usually, and that was coming from a book that I found very inspiring in the past, is about sitting at the same side of the table when you do a deal. It's not me against you, but is us together. Let's see what makes sense. Let's see what makes sense for you. Let's see what makes sense for me. We find the common ground, or even better, we discuss about something that is not yet there, and we build something together, and we make this great deal, and we make this great deal. Once you go with this honesty, and to be honest enough to even say maybe it's not the right time to strike a deal, it will be good for me but not good enough for you, you can be ensured that that person will trust you in the future. And doesn't matter what other company or same companies is going to be in the future, if you sit on the same table with that person and you start discussing about another deal, you will have that person attention. And so again, here we are building sustainability in the longer run, sustainability based on common success.
Okay. So, yeah. So
No, please.
I love that. I love that term. I've not come across it, but I do have that similar mindset myself, which is same side selling. I'm very visual, and I just can see a table. Yep. And we're both sat opposite a table, and that's the typical way a deal looks like this. But I almost just feel like as if you've hopped over the other side, the person you're trying to partner with, the rest of the table's empty, and we're actually almost physically next to each other. And there's an
Correct.
opportunity to then expand what's going on within the possibilities. Is that how you view that, like an expanded opportunity with the right timing?
An expanded opportunity without competition. Again,
Mm,
it's not me against you, but it's us together. And I mean, it's so interesting because in this big ecosystem, how many times to discuss a deal, you even need to bring a third party on the table.
of course.
And maybe you need to work with two competitors and having three different companies sitting at the same table discussing about a potential new solution or legal framework to enable some services in
Indeed.
some particular regions. So this is all about, and that's what I like about it. It's all about growth. It's all about how can we do more, what takes to do more, what takes to do it better.
Mm. Yeah, that's so true, actually, because I find that in the I think the people, having been in the payments industry a long time, I like the people. I think that's, I always say people make payments and payments makes people. But actually, I think that mental and emotional dexterity as well, where you're absolutely right. Today, you and I could be partners. Tomorrow, we can be competitors. Then you could be white labeling a product of mine. Then I could be introducing you to something to another party to expand a bigger deal over here. And you almost need that, let's just say, emotional mental dexterity to be able to operate effectively. And actually, I suppose the crux of that is the relationship with the person, not with the role. Yeah.
Correct. But it's very true that you do business with people, not with companies.
Mm.
So eventually keep that in mind, be honest, and then eventually you will navigate throughout your career, throughout your relationships. And I mean, even if you have a brainstorming that leads to a roadblock, that's also a very interesting learning opportunity. So you never waste time in these kind of cases. You always learn something, and maybe if you cannot struck a certain deal or come up with a certain process or product, maybe the time is not right. You can park that, you can put that into the drawer, and maybe a few years later, that same thing is gonna be able could see the light. So
Okay.
again, it's never focus just on the outcome. It's just focus on the greater picture.
Okay. Okay. And what about then in terms of the role? You mentioned setbacks earlier and
Mhm.
resilience. Tell me about the role that's having setbacks and then your response to a setback. How important has that been in your career?
That has been pivotal in my career simply because taking the lead of chargebacks in my previous company, and I was basically the first person really looking into that. It gave me first of all the opportunity to get out of the office and start networking within the industry. So I was able to network with the likes of companies like Mastercard, discussing about chargebacks, learning from them, and then eventually it started to give me the opportunity to work on a product. It was MVP, the first version, but working in a product. So in that case was a great playground, and actually results were actually quite positive. Were actually fairly surprising positive results that brought me to have conversations within the industry, from banks to schemes to other merchants, and then eventually that gave me a lot of visibility within the industry, teaching me how to deal with a different level of professionals, and eventually led me to meet the people who actually brought me to my next company.
Right. Right. So that has had a cascading effect. Yep.
It had a cascading effect, but again, not planned at all. It was just let's think about how we can improve that industry. Let's talk about that. Let's be vocal, and then eventually that triggered again other situations which were very unexpected, and that brought me to change company, travel the world, and having a great experiences. Then themselves brought me to have
Okay.
other experiences that brought me again back into the company that I left. So is that kind of an expected journey that is always there if you are open to it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Because I love how you've done that with a number of parts of your career, which is it's the traditional piece of many people think that just applying for the next role in the next organization. But I know how important relationships have been in you getting some of your roles. I wonder if you could share that with us rather than, just applying for a job, actually having an almost an allyship within a company already that knows the value, knows your mindset that you're going to bring to them, means you have advocacy and you have sponsorship already within the business.
That happen. I mean, in a certain moment, it gets more and more difficult to simply apply through a role on a role through LinkedIn or through a website.
Absolutely.
Usually, those channels are flooded with applications, and probably, I mean, drafting my CV is not my best skill. It happened more than once that I was applying to different roles, and then I was rejected. That happened also to my last role, actually. But while applying to the role, I was also talking with some people in the industry, trying to understand what that company was really looking for, what was behind the job description, and if there could be a good fit with what I can deliver, with what is in my let's say in my experience. And then in that case, I was able some connections, some friends introduced me to people in the department, in the team where I wanted to join, even though I was already being rejected. And then in that case, I was able to have very inspiring conversations, get to know the team, and having the internal sponsorship
Yes.
to say, hey, I can ping your name to the hiring manager because I think there is a fit. I think there is a match. There is potential in having further
Mm.
conversations. So it's not about somebody referring you to make you a favor or to make a favor to a third person. Is the point of somebody referring you because they see that there is a mutual benefit,
There
that
you
there
go.
is a potential, and there is a good fit. So it's true, can be overwhelming sometimes to apply, sending CVs and not getting a response, etc. But the reality is that, especially in certain industries, especially in certain roles, I mean, I work in partnership. So connections are kings, and also how you work through these connections, being able to reach to the right person and leave a positive, let's say, and that person thinking positively about you, I think that's the most effective. It's a very effective approach.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's sort of so it's so important. I'm a huge believer myself in the value of adding value to individuals just generally, and then ultimately that does come back. And accessing the hidden job market is. I'm always stunned when people say to me, "What is the hidden job market?" It's like, you know, the best jobs don't go to the best candidates. The best jobs go to the most connected candidates. Is the truth. And
No, it's absolutely true. And in this case, how can I say it? It's not even just the most connected, but it's just about like in life. You need luck, but you also need to help that luck. You need to put yourself also in a weak position where you don't sell yourself like I can solve all your problems, but I can solve one or two problems. Do you
yes,
need that?
yeah,
Is that is
exactly.
that is that the good fit? So that's also one of the things that is it could be so dangerous when you oversell yourself with skills you don't really have just to get into that specific role. That is gonna hurt so much your reputation. And that's gonna hurt so much the reputation of the person who eventually is gonna refer you, etc. That's non-sustainable.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's fascinating though that as you say, the ability to add value to those areas. But it's interesting about trust in life, but also and trust in some luck. But actually, there is that wonderful saying, isn't it, that the harder I work, the more luck I have. I think I'd probably add on top of that the more I add value to others and the more connections, then the more likely. they are to connect back to yourselves. It's a very human thing to do. Connection and trusted relationships is a very human thing to happen, isn't it?
Absolutely. But those also needs to come from the right place in your heart, meaning you can see that's one other pitfall of so many people, that you can see that they want to network for a purpose because they have an objective. It's not a true spontaneous
Yeah,
willingness of
indeed.
networking and connecting just for the pleasure of it, just for the interest, for the curiosity, for the good that a new connection can give you, but just because that's functional. In that
Yeah,
case, you can have a very quick career, but most of the times, is that really something sustainable in the long term?
true.
And more important, is that something within your core that is a fit for yourself? Can you live with that mask?
No, that's very, very true. It's funny for me that a number of people, this is why I love this, like integrity is a really important value for me. Yeah. And I always think the case about integrity is simply, that's where your words and your deeds for me are match. And I just think if your words and your deeds match, well, there's no energy wasted. There's no energy wasted going, oh, how do I operate with that person? I operate like this. It's like, no, no, this is how I show up. And if that's consistent, you're not wasting energy. And the truth is, energy is the only thing we've got. We've got physical energy, we've got emotional energy, we've got spiritual energy, we've got mental energy. But as humans, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, love that.
Absolutely.
So
Please.
so I've noticed here that the fuel behind your curiosity is questions, is connection with people, but that must come from a place of self-awareness and reflection. What do you do to stop, reflect, learn from situations, and then take those past learnings to the present and then ultimately into the future?
I generally like to look at the northern star. I like to have a northern star. So
Yeah, yeah.
something up there, I'm going after.
Mm,
And then it doesn't need to be something
yeah.
very, very tangible. It's more like also what kind of experiences, what kind of
Mm,
life
sure.
I
Yeah.
want to have. And then you start to break that down in a way smaller segments. And then you
Mm,
start to think, okay, to get up there, what do I need? But
yeah.
not in 10 years. What do I need now?
Yeah.
And so then it becomes one step after the other, leading you to a certain direction. And it's not that you go through a straight line. The line is very, 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 very messy.
Yeah.
But every day you can do something more to get toward the direction. And then you don't know what direction, what is really going to happen, etc. But every day you are working towards a certain direction. And this can be to make it a bit more a bit more tangible. Again, it was like with the experience when I arrived here in the Netherlands. I needed a job. Fine, job done. What's next?
Yeah.
I really needed to learn and to practice English. So that was another big focus. And for as basic as it can sound, that was a real problem.
Of
So
course.
don't try to fix bigger problems that they are not yet there. Try to fix what you need to be functional to your next step. So that was becoming a senior within my organization. So I could switch from doing business in Italian to doing business in English. So that was the shortest action I could take to get to that level, to that
Right.
and to fill that gap. And then with English was people management, learn about operations in a big company. And again, it was through small steps, small projects within that organization, but you work on the project that you think it can be functional for that picture you have of yourself, that you have of yourself.
Look, this is normally where I sort of stop and pause and try and provide a summary, but I've got pages of notes here. So I just wonder if I could just put together some of the salient points and stories. Would that be okay?
Please.
I'm always looking for a theme from a conversation. I think that the fuel and the theme for me is curiosity. I know from our interactions, you're extraordinarily curious about people, about places, and that I think is the fuel that has really enabled, I suppose, a number of things to build trusted relationships based on true, sincere, and authentic reciprocity, where actually it's the energy that being surrounded by people, you're giving to them, they're giving to you. There's a multiplier effect there that can have, but it's based on connection rather than just a networking need you have just to move that. It's built on a sincerity. The need then to build trusted relationships even at the time of setbacks, and build in a level of resilience to make sure that you are playing what's in front of you, trust in yourself, trust in life, but also trust in the fact that by giving value to others, at some point that may come back, but you don't know where it's going to come from. But you know, by living a good life like that, it's more likely to benefit you and to benefit others as we move forward. It's obvious to me as well that the other one of the other big fuels that you have is your passion. Music, what it means to you. You know what travel actually means to you. So actually being in those industries, it feels like there's no resistance or friction for you. You're enjoying being in those industries, enabling them more. Lay it on top of that a wonderful industry that we're in within payments, but also the fact that everybody needs that. As you say, we're not saving lives, but at the same time, everybody today, whether it's getting a train to go commuting or buying a coffee at the simplest level, or a huge cross-border transaction that's just happening, it's all people. It's all people, and it's happening, and it's very real. It impacts lives. And I think the other piece, though, as well, really struck for me was reflection, and the fact that you can look and also become very enhance your self-awareness, whether that was about realizing there's a niche potentially by looking at something like chargebacks, or also by actually I need to obviously to enhance my English there. But I think the other big one for me was your mindset to adding value to others, and actually how we can actually unlock things like even the most basic of things, which is a job. Yeah. So your resilience of actually getting rejected multiply, even getting blacklisted, and then saying, "Hey, I'll not just get another email address. I'll find a route in at some point," and then you put your hand up. It wasn't the perfect job for you, but it was a 2 month contract that got you started. And then, whilst in the organization, and that you left there, then you came back again, spent a long time in your career, and also then recently as well, by knowing other individuals, getting sponsorship and pulling that opportunity towards you. I see so many people trying to say, I need a job. Yeah. Well, it's the wrong way around. It's like you're going to need to add some value to solve a business problem first. So I love what you said as well, is like, don't oversell yourself there. Sorry, there was so much in this conversation. Don't oversell yourself there. Try and add value and say, what's the one problem I can solve for this line manager, this individual, this exec that could actually shift things forward? They were my takeaways. So the most salient ones from our conversation. Is there anything you could add to that?
No, I think you summarized very, very, very well. And yes, indeed, we touched so many different areas. I think the main concept here is mean well when you do things. Mean well, wake up in the morning, be curious about this world, try to add value and be a good person. In this case, you will learn to do many different things and you will learn many different people. Chances of landing a good job, landing another good job, etc., are going to be way higher because in this case, things are in motion faster, and you have so many more opportunities than in a still environment.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Stefano, thank you so much for sharing your inspiration, sharing your stories, sharing your very real, authentic approach to the world. And I wish you very, very well. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks to you. My pleasure. Have a very good one.